Welcome to the Facing Your Fear, Following Your Dreams, Turning Fear into Courage. And today we're on chapter 25, which is the elephant story. And it's so funny because I have this very sweet niece called Rebecca that she just loves elephants so much that on those few times I get on Facebook, I see all the beautiful elephant pictures she posts. Those elephants are free. The elephant story I'm going to tell you about is the elephant from the circus. And maybe circuses are changing their training, their animal use and all that, which I hope happens. But I want to tell you how elephants get trained. They, as little baby elephants, are chained with these big chains and these heavy weights where they cannot go outside of this certain circle because the chain won't let them. They're weighed down and they pull and they try and they do what they can to get outside that circle. But eventually they learn there's no getting out. You're not going to get out the circle. Now, the interesting thing is they grow big and strong. And as soon as they feel that chain around their neck, they don't get out of their circle. So you see them in the middle of the ring and they could go anywhere. They're strong enough to go anywhere, but they stay within that circle because they've been trained. Now, unfortunately, you and I have been trained. No one did this purposely, or maybe they did. I don't think they were consciously aware of what it would cause us in a world that we need to be adaptable. We need to be able to be open-minded and to change and to solve problems and create and understand one another, even though we're different, even though we have different beliefs. And so when we've been trained to stay inside a box, stay inside a certain belief system, to be limited by something that our parents taught us, or teachers, or siblings, or friends, or whatever, we start to not be able to experience the fullness of the world. So I'd like you to look at, is there anything that you're aware of that other people might not feel, but you feel is a blockage, is something that you've taken into your heart and soul as the truth, where it might not be the truth? So let's look at it. I think the important ones are how you feel about yourself. If someone ever told you you were not smart enough or attractive enough or strong enough or athletic enough or whatever these messages were, let's stop thinking about that. Let's stop the influence of those. Because if we learn those negative messages, we can unlearn them. And when we unlearn them, we're free to be all that we are. We're free to speak our truth. We're free to enjoy life. We're free to take off some of the chains that are energetically on us. One of the things I recommend for people, because I think our throat chakra can be sometimes blocked, is I love singers and musicians because they're allowing their energy to come forward all the time. Some of us don't always have the best voices, but if you can go out and sing and really let your voice be heard by yourself, or if you want to do it in front of others, karaoke or whatever it might be, go do it. Please sing. The more you can sing, the more that throat chakra will be open and the more you can speak your truth. There's another part to the elephant story that's in that chapter, and it's the story of a wise man. And a wise man is sitting at the crossroads from a city in one direction, we'll call it city A, and then city B. And he's there to answer question. A man came down from city A and said, teacher, teacher, what am I going to find in city B? What's it like? And the teacher said, well, what did you see in city A? And he said, I saw poverty and abuse and neglect and lack of food and so much pain and sorrow. And he goes, I'm just wondering what I'm going to see in the next city. And the wise man said, city B, you're going to see the same thing. You'll see the poverty, the abuse, the trauma, because that's what your mind is set for. So the next day, another man's walking down from city A, and he goes, teacher, master, I'm coming from city A. I'm going to city B. What will I find in city B? And the teacher says, what did you see in city A? And he said, I saw laughter, the children in the street, they were playing, and the mothers held them, and the fathers were so happy to get home to the mothers. and everything was beautiful. The flowers, the air, it just felt so comfortable and inviting and warm. And the teacher goes, City B is going to be the same way. You're going to see laughter in the streets, children playing, mothers loving their children, happy people, joy. So guess what? We create what we see. I know that's hard to imagine, but if we're creating the negative, if we're creating disaster, we're going to see it, we're going to feel it, our bodies are going to feel it, and we want to change that up. The only way we can change it is to be careful, monitor your thoughts, monitor your feelings. Take this body that gives us feedback all the time. If a thought feels bad, think of something else. If a movie is feeling traumatic, watch something else. If being with a friend or a person or anybody who it is causing you physical pain, go somewhere else. We can also work on how we don't take things personally. I've talked about that a lot. And so that if other people can cause us that kind of pain, we can also learn how to not respond to that. I've talked about sometimes there are people that may come in for help, but they're so unhappy. They're kind of like throwing spears even at me. And I find myself like kind of ducking and dodging the spears, even if they're really emotionally or verbally trying to cause me pain. I duck and dodge it because I want my energy to stay clear, clean, healthy, strong, and positive. And so we can do this if we focus on it together. So just take a moment. Think of anything that it may be a substance you drink or eat. It may be sugar or something like not drinking enough water or not exercising or over exercising or not spending time alone to get to know yourself, being too busy. We are human doers instead of human beings. Let's figure out what each of us needs. Let's work on it so that we're not the elephant in chains and we're not that first guy who is going to find misery wherever he goes. We're going to add to this world. We're going to increase the vibrational level and be the elephant that roams in Africa and is free to protect its young. And we're going to be the second man who finds joy where he came from and where he's going, but he probably finds it within himself too. So it's a really good chapter to think about. Interesting stories. I would just say it's a wonderful way to look. I think I want to tell you another story. It's at the beginning of my book, but it talks about this little boy. He and his father they hit a riptide in Florida and they were taken miles off the coast. And the little boy had autism. It was very limited in his communication. And the father was trying to hold on to him, but waves kept hitting him. And finally they got separated. And the father, to try to keep connected to the son, would say the word to infinity. I think it's from Toy Story. And the little boy would go, and beyond. And so they would listen to each other, trying to get close to each other to connect again. But pretty soon the little boy didn't respond anymore. And the man was all by himself and he was just devastated. And a fishing boat picked him up and he told the fisherman the story and said, please, please, please go try to find my son. And the fishermen were so sad because they could hear the father sobbing down below. You can only imagine. And then the father noticed that the energy was changing up above and they had found his son alive. And the son was thanking him for letting him swim all night because he didn't have the fear. He was not afraid of sharks. He was not afraid of drowning. He was just going, whoa, my dad, and I think in his mind, he couldn't say it. My dad trusts me enough that I get to be swimming all night in the dark. And they both lived. We got to be careful what we're thinking about. That little boy lived because he didn't go into fear. Let's turn our fear into courage. Let's create solutions. Let's create joy and happiness. So thank you for joining us for Chapter 25, The Elephant Story. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you again soon.